Good evening and welcome to this week's web-exclusive edition of Inside Chippewa Hockey. Today we're going to take a look at last weekend's D3 games against Miami University, D2's first win in the books against Northwestern, and women's games against Adrian. This is Inside Chippewa Hockey. The Division III team took on undefeated Miami University last weekend during a two-game homestand. Chippewas were able to come out on top in both games. We've got the highlights. In Game 1 of the series, just 18 seconds after the Chippewas score their first goal of the game, Miami drives the puck up toward the front of the net, and number 9, Will Foster, scores to tie it up at 1.
It's a sneaky goal there from the Redhawks, but it's a bad goal given up from the Chippewa defense. Really, you should not allow passing that crisp inside of your defensive end right at the doorstep.
Miami works the puck up from the circle into the slot. Number 15, Michael Wynn, tips it in to raise their lead 3-1 over the Chippewas.
This is a really bad goal given up from Riley Morgan. He's one of the best goaltenders in the ACHA North, and right there, Miami's just able to sneak one right past the 5-hole and find its way to the back of the net to increase the Miami lead by 2.
CMU's Nate Allgaier gets possession of the puck and carries it over to Redhawks territory. He sees a shot and finds the back of the net, his 10th of the season.
Gator has been on his game recently. He has one of the best shots in the league. We say it week in and week out, but more recently this year, he has been able to find the back of the net with all those shots. He is not missing. He's on fire right now.
A scramble in front of the net gives Chippewa's Ben Rychuk scoring opportunity in the third period.
Yeah, Rychuk with a beautiful wraparound right there. Not something he's usually known for. Not really a behind-the-net kind of grindy scorer, but right there he saw an open position and said, hey, I'm going to take this one myself. Worked out as the Chippewas doubled him up.
Continuing on into Game 2 of the homestand, CMU's number 11, Ryan Tyre, puts it past Miami's goaltender from the left side of the circle.
This is a beautiful shot from Ryan Tyre, right at the bottom of the left circle. Goes right over the blocker's side of the goaltender. Nothing that can be done right there. That is a clean pass shot.
Soon after, Ben Rychuk brings the puck up center ice, passes it over to Simoncelli. Simoncelli to Rychuk. Rychuk back to Simoncelli for a quick shot into the net.
This was not planned exactly the way that it was shown right there. It was kind of a broken play that Simoncelli was able to take advantage of because of some great awareness from Rychuk. They get it right into the zone, and Simoncelli again goes upstairs, this time glove side.
Sutherland brings the puck around the back of the net, sees a scoring opportunity, his 50th of his career in the second period.
Dalton Sutherland has been one of the best players in the ACHA this year, one of the best scorers, and right there, that looks very similar to the first goal of the season that he scored. A clean backhander, middle of the net, nothing that can be done. Sutherland with the half-century mark, a great sight for the junior.
Late in the game, Dylan Billings takes a shot on net, which deflects to Shane Agnello. Agnello tips it in for the Chippewas' final goal of the game at 7-2.
Most important thing's the fundies, baby, and right there, put the puck on the net, get the stick on the ice. Things are going to work out well for you as the Chippewas are able to extend their lead by 5 here.
The CMU D3 team came away with a homestand sweep this weekend. Sean, what did the series tell us?
Well, this was just a reaffirmation series for Central Michigan. We know they're one of the best teams in the ACHA North, but going up against a Miami team that was probably one of the fastest teams right out of the gate that Central Michigan's played all season, and a team that found its scoring touch because they were able to cycle the puck, it shows Central Michigan's going to be able to handle speed this season. That's going to be essential going on later on to the later parts of this season. They've handled some of the best teams in the ACHA already, and the MCHC components that they have went up against. But Central Michigan has to be prepared for the unassuredness. They have to be ready for the mystery. That's what Miami was. They came out guns a-blazing, and Central Michigan was able to respond and overcome.
Yeah, both games were pretty back and forth at the beginning, but ultimately the Chippewas shut down the Redhawks later in the game. What allowed them to do this?
Well, it was adjustments, and that's something that we have admired so much from James Cadzo. I mean, especially when you're going after the first period in a 10-goal period, you got to find a way to shut down scoring. Riley Morgan's not used to having 5-6 goals go up against him. So what do? You go against those leading scorers, you stop their entrance into the zone, and any way that you can stop them from getting an offense going, it's going to help yourself out in the defensive market. Well, right there, what we saw from Central Michigan in that first game was the entire testament of the rest of that series. The first period was kind of a wheel fire. The fire was just going down the hill, but Central Michigan was able to put out the fire and play 5 more good periods of hockey the way that they wanted to without having to play catch-up. They dominated the way that it was going.
Scoring his 50th goal of his career this weekend, it's pretty unanimous who our player of the weekend is. Dalton is the top leading scorer in the D3 team's history. He's been pretty lights out. Sean, what do you have to say about Dalton?
I can't even begin to come up with words for Dalton Sullen. He's played a phenomenal season so far. He's out of his mind. It's him, it's Ryan Tyre, it's James Gleason. When the top 3 are performing this well, things are going to be good. But when Dalton Sullen is leading the way that he has, you would say his whole career, but especially this season, he took another level. He took a humongous jump from last season into this season. Call it coaching, call it off-season training, call it what you want. Dalton Sullen came into this season with a mindset, and he's performing above any level that anyone could have anticipated.
The Chippewas will host another homestand this weekend against CMU rivals, the Western Michigan Broncos. From both of the teams' past play, we know that this is a pretty beatable team. How do you keep the intensity going into a game like this?
Well, this is one of those games where you can get different players out there. You can get Schwimmer out there. You can get Alex Osborne out there. You can get players who don't get as much playing time because a team like Western, quite frankly, is not even in the same contention as Central Michigan. This is essentially like an NCAA team going up against an ACHA team. Western is in for a pretty brutal weekend this season, or this series rather, against Central Michigan. I think this is really the time when you can see a goaltender like Colin Smith come out. You can see some of those fourth liners playing up to first line. This is not going to be a close series. How do you keep the intensity? The big thing is everyone's going to be playing for stats, of course, but you got to keep your lines going and recognize that this is going to be kind of like a shooting gallery practice. Have some fun out there. Pass some passes that you wouldn't normally make. Don't do anything stupid that would give a chance the other way, but play your style of offense, play your game, and just go out there and have a good time.
The men's D2 team hosted a homestand this weekend as well against Northwestern. Let's dive right into the highlights. The Chippewas look to get their first win of the season. Kyle Chapman tosses a backhanded shot into the net past Northwestern's goaltender, his second of the game.
Great work here by Brent Bach, walling off Evan Nixon, outworks him in the corner. And Trevor Hunter, great placement right there, leaving enough room for Kyle Chapman there with a backhand roofer. Beautiful goal, 2-1 Chips.
Northwestern's Nick Nelson drives the puck up Chippewa territory and takes a shot on net, scoring his second of the game.
This was the second one he was able to get past Jack Valentine. Valentine cannot let those through. Those should be easy saves that he should make. He should be closing the door, not letting in squeaky goals. That's a squeaky one right there.
CMU looks to raise the gap in the second period. Nick Modis drives the puck up center ice, tosses it back to Justin McComas, too quick for the Wildcats. McComas scores, Chippewa's taking a 2-goal lead.
Yeah, this was a defensive breakdown for Northwestern. Modis knows he should have scored on that breakaway, but the trailing guy behind the play late is always the most dangerous. That's McComas. Right place, right time, easy goal.
Shortly after in the second period, Anton Marinelli fires the puck up to the front of the net. Justin McComas follows up and sees yet another scoring opportunity.
Marinelli, good job keeping the eyes one way and then passing another. Far side D-man, Troy Bierman caught watching the puck carrier, not his man. McComas take advantage from there to make it 5-2, completes his hat trick.
In Game 2 of the series, the Chippewas look to score first. CMU's Nolan Lefebvre brings the puck around the back of the net and fires it past Northwestern's goaltender.
Good job recognizing the space here by Nolan. He had not only around him, but on that top corner above the goalie's shoulder.
Shortly after the Chippewas with a little movement around the zone, Justin McComas takes a shot that finds the back of the net, raising the Chippewas lead 2-0.
Great work by Marinelli with the tie-up, leaving this puck up for grabs for McComas to scoop and score, picking up right where he left off from the night before.
Northwestern gaining momentum and looking to close the gap in the third period. A shot on Chippewa's goaltender rebounds and the Wildcats tip it in, tying it up at 3.
Dan Wang, never a bad play to throw the puck at the net. He does, and David Lamont right there to tie it up late in the third.
A rebound off the back of the boards leaves the Wildcats with a scoring opportunity on a wide open net. That'll end the game with Northwestern leading 4-3.
Yeah, Schimpf misses the net on purpose. Schwanke stubs a skate blade trying to move to the other post, forcing him to be late to cover that end of it. Ends up getting the game tying and the game winning goal.
I'm joined at the desk by DJ Palm, who is on call for Saturday's game versus Northwestern. DJ, the team was finally able to get their first win of the season. What did you have to say about their performance?
Well, their performance, to me, I guess you could say, was somewhat inspiring because this was a team that had completely depleted health through about half of their roster and taking road trips with 10 and 12 guys and losing games very badly by double digits. So the one thing that I took away from this weekend was their heart is now starting to turn into a form of resiliency with getting their first win against Northwestern. Good that it was at home to get that win, and first win anyway, in front of the home fans. So that's what I'm taking. Heart turning into resiliency and a team's never say die attitude.
They fell short on Saturday's game after leading most of it. What was the difference between Friday and Saturday's game?
They took the gas pedal off in the third period. They started to play a lot more of dump and chase. It was basically, I'll flip it from the red line and we'll see if one of our team can get it first. And Northwestern had a great reaction to that. They sat one defenseman there deep, probably about 5 feet in front of the paint, said, okay, if you want to dump it, we're just going to get it and bring it out of our zone. And then we're going to play in your zone for the next 20 minutes. And it turned out to win them a game in the third period. They really didn't play, Northwestern that is, all that great for 40 minutes. But the third period came, and you could see Central just take the gas off and playing more defensively. It's a very scary way of playing a hockey game if you're going to play that style, especially with the lead.
Great performances across the board, but who would you say was our player of the weekend?
As much as I wanted to give it to Kyle Chapman this weekend, I had to give it to McComas. Hat trick on Friday definitely propelled the team to their first win. And then he added another goal on the Saturday game. Unfortunately, it just happened to be in a losing effort. But I think the goal production, the point production that was missing this weekend from Jake Tarowski was definitely made up with the presence of Justin McComas and his points.
McComas is a new addition to the team. How has he impacted the team offensively?
Well, I think offensively he's impacted other new players that have started to come on the team, guys like Chance Monarch and Anton Marinelli. These other new guys are starting to see that, you know, hey, McComas hasn't been on this team much longer than me, so if he's out there, you know, tearing it up and scoring goals, hey, I guess I can too. And that's come with the assisted greatness, the playmaker ability of Anton Marinelli, setting up McComas' hat trick goal there in the third period because he's starting to show patience with the puck. And I love it the way he looks one way and then passes another. I think it's really cool. He's got great poise, great patience with the puck, and he makes good decisions.
On Saturday, Central Michigan will face off against Washtenaw Community College at home. Chippewas were able to sweep the Wolfpack twice last season, outscoring Washtenaw 36-17 in 4 games. How can they repeat this success on Saturday?
Well, I would think it would just be by doing the same things that they've been doing against Washtenaw. It's kind of hard to get a feel for how Washtenaw plays and what their setup scheme is because they haven't played a game all season. So there's really nothing to scout there as far as talent-wise up and down their roster. But from what I see from Central Michigan right now is this is a team that is starting to come together. They are starting to get a little bit more healthier day by day. I think once they get Jake Tarowski and Steven Jocks back, Washtenaw CC should be no problem for them this weekend.
You're right, we really don't know much because Washtenaw hasn't played a game yet, but what can the Chippewas do to jump on them early in the game?
Well, they're going to have to pepper the net, and they're going to have to pepper it early because this team is still getting outshot by a margin of over 70. And the last few games that they've had, their last 2 games, they've only been -7, -8 in the shot differential between the last 2 games. So they're catching up on that. But if they want to get to Washtenaw early, and if they want to try and win this in the first period versus losing it in the third, they're going to have to pepper the net and put shots between the pipes.
Thank you, DJ, for your analysis on the D2 matchup this weekend. Don't forget you can catch DJ on call this Saturday at 5 p.m. on Chips HockeyCast, D2.com. The women's were back in action this past weekend as they faced off one of the top teams in Division II, Adrian College. Here are the highlights. Adrian with intensity looks to score first. 40 seconds into the game, the Bulldogs' Katie Hayward drives the puck up inside the right circle, taking a shot right past the Chippewas.
Right there, another beautiful goal on the weekend for Katie Hayward. Her second. LaRue was sharp all weekend, but that's a nice goal for Hayward to go right over top of the glove side.
Played by the Chippewas from the right circle, Jessica Killingback takes a successful shot on net, tying the game up at 1.
I don't know what it was. Maybe a little bit of home cooking, maybe a little bit of going off against your former school, but Jessica Killingback was the offense this weekend. That's her third goal for the Chippewas this weekend, and that's a great one to get past Victoria Poland. A great goaltender for Adrian.
Adrian's Hannah Chase sees a shot through the Chippewas goaltender in the second period. The Bulldogs leading 2-1.
Last thing you can do right here for the Chippewas defense, with as good as Adrian is on the offensive, you can't give Chase and Hayward a chance alone on the front of the net. Chase is going to score that for her 7th of the season.
Adrian works the puck in front of the net on power play in the third period. Erica Gilbert takes a backhanded shot and scores.
Not even everyone was back in the rink at the time that this one was scored. 14 seconds into the third period, this was the nail in the coffin. Central Michigan was competing the whole game. That third goal's a killer.
And back at the desk with me is Sean Bednard. Sean, you were on call for both games this weekend. What was your major takeaway?
Well, this Adrian team is scary good. That's going to be the one thing that I want to talk about. Adrian's new, and going into this matchup, we kind of viewed it as a battle of two new teams. Adrian, obviously, this is their first year. For Central Michigan, this is their first true year of competition. Adrian's really good, but Central Michigan is going to compete this year in the CCWHA. Central Michigan is young, but they're hungry and they're ready to fight. I think especially going up against Loyola this week and the conference switch around that they're going to have going up with the schedule coming forward. I think you're going to see a very good Central Michigan team this year. And I think as long as they can continue to improve on their systems, their top two scoring lines are intense. And if they have their goaltender, Alex LaRue, play like she did against one of the best teams in the country, this team's going to be set. They're going to be able to compete for a conference championship possibly.
How did they improve from their last performance against Aquinas?
I think the big thing that we saw is the last time that they were on the ice, it was a 9-0 loss for them. How do you go in from being a month away from games and say, okay, well, let's build off of our last game, when your last game saw you almost get shut out by a decade? Well, Central Michigan was able to take what they learned from that whole series and take that down to Adrian. I was talking with their captain, Anastasia Hartman, a lot. We looked at film, and we were looking at different things and said, okay, what things does Adrian take advantage of? Adrian moves pucks out of the zone based off of defensive and offensive failures. Were they able to do that? Yes, that Hannah Chase goal that we looked at a little bit ago was a defensive failure from Central Michigan that allowed for a chance the other way. But Central Michigan cleaned up the inarticulate parts of their game, the parts that you really can't get a full grip on, being able to make clean, crisp passes while trying to predict what the defense is going to do. Killingback is a one-man wrecking ball out there, and especially against Adrian, we were able to see that. If she can do that like we were able to see against the Bulldogs there, they should be able to do it no problem against Loyola. I think really what we saw different from Aquinas to Adrian was that Central Michigan played up against a better team and were able to go with them for 9 rounds.
Lots of great performances across the board, but who would you say was our player of the weekend for the ladies?
You know, initially I wanted to go into this saying Jessica Killingback, because when you have all 3 goals on a weekend and you're really the entirety of the offense, it's pretty easy to be able to pick you, but I have to give it to Alex LaRue. 89 saves, 60 saves on the Friday night game, 29 on the the Sunday morning game and the Saturday night game, respectively the game before. Without her, it's hard to say that this would have been as competitive a series. That's not any discredit to the defense, who probably have a lot of bruises that they had to deal with all of this week in practice heading into Loyola. But Central Michigan was led because of their goaltender, Alex LaRue. She got a gold star. She's our player of the weekend.
The Chippewas are back in action this weekend as they host Loyola University for 2 more games at Ice Arena. What do the Chippewas need to do to get their second win?
Just play their game. Play the style of offense that Central Michigan was able to play when they played well this past weekend. If Central Michigan can get systems going against a team as good as Adrian, then they should be able to compete with a team like Loyola. Obviously, history has not been in favor of the Chippewas against a team like this, but you have to throw history out the window in a season like this for Central Michigan. I think as long as they can pass out the puck a little bit more. The reason that Adrian was able to be so successful defensively against Jessica Killingback is because they put their best defenseman, Jessica Abraham, 5'11", by the way, against her. When you have 2 players like Jessica Abraham and another player out there blocking your best scorer, you have to go to other options. Well, they had Macy Barnett. She found herself in front of the net quite a few times. Mariah Wilson nearly had 2 goals in that Sunday morning game. Central Michigan has to diversify the puck, and if they can do that, they're going to be able to spread out scoring like they were able to in that Aquinas series. They just have to be unselfish with the puck like we've been able to see that they've played so far this season, and just play their style of offense. Things are going to take care of themselves from there, and you got home cooking this weekend. You get 2 home games at Ice Arena. Fans have came out already for Central Michigan. Why not do it again?
The team will also be hosting a Prospects Day on Saturday for all the players interested in playing hockey at CMU. What do you think an event like this does for a young program like the women's team?
This is fun. You know, these recruitment days are an awesome way to be able to get a feel of what's game day environment. What is it going to be like after the games, walking around to classes? If I were a college hockey prospective player, I would love to be able to go something like this. You get to meet these girls. You get to meet these players. See what it's like inside of their locker room. See what, like I said, game day is like. See our operation of what we do on a Chippewa game day. Being able to go in there, maybe even see a win, and get to know the girls. If you do want to go to Central Michigan, this can be a deciding factor for you. If you're not comfortable with it, obviously it can go the other way. But a prospect game like this, a prospect skate, and really just a prospect weekend, if you will. It's a great way to get familiarized, and I know for a lot of especially women's hockey players in college, this is a big thing that decides where they want to go play. If Central Michigan's going to be an up-and-coming program, you got to start from the ground floor. I think Coach Knopp and I think Captain Hartman are going to be able to do that with a big day like Saturday.
Thank you, Sean. That will do it for this week's webisode of Inside Chippewa Hockey. Be sure to head to ChippewaHockeyNetwork.com for all your CMU needs this weekend, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat for live coverage of all 5 games this weekend. Have a great weekend and fire up, Chips.